All right, well, Coach, thanks so much for taking your time
Absolutely.
and coming to talk with us today. Just want to talk about your strength and conditioning, your program that you have here. So you and your wife, you actually run this facility together, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Well, it's cool because it's long days for one, so I get to see my wife all day is awesome. That's one of the positives. She handles mainly the female athletes, and then I handle mainly the male athletes, and we also have 2 grad assistants. But we kind of both help each other. It just depends what's going on. Sometimes we'll have 2 teams in here and we're all coaching. We obviously want to be as efficient as possible and every athlete get coached like they should and deserve to be coached.
I think you probably just earned some brownie points with that right there.
Absolutely.
So can you tell me a little bit about your training philosophy?
Yeah, well, I'm a big ground-based movement guy, so obviously sport is played on your feet, and most sports are physical. So we do a lot of Olympic work, which is power cleans, hang cleans, box cleans, and then of course I'm an up-tempo guy. So if you ever come in here, I'm getting after them, I'm excited, I have a good time, and I just kind of love what I do.
Do you have a favorite workout for you personally?
My favorite workout? I just love working out in general. I mean, I just like new workouts. Like, I get bored if it's the same thing every day, so I got to have something new, keeps my attention, and
whatever you're having fun with.
Exactly.
So does this philosophy change based off of different sports? Like if you were doing golf versus football or tennis versus lacrosse?
Well, I think, the set of rules that we have in here and the expectation we have for our athletes is obviously the same. We want to be successful. We want our athletes to understand that we're training to benefit us in our sport and prevent injury. So from that aspect it's the same, but we also want to train for the metabolic demand of the sport. So we're talking about golf a little bit. Golf's going to do, more rotational stuff, whereas the football will do more heavy lifting and explosive work.
During all of those workouts, do y'all use any odd or interesting techniques?
We do all kinds of odd stuff. I tell recruits, we had recruits here this morning that can't come in, and we tell them about what we do in our program, and I basically tell them I'm a little bit crazy. I'm gonna do crazy stuff, but I think it keeps our athletes' attention, and I love them all. And I was telling the guys, and y'all came in and saw those guys were doing punishment. It kind of hurts me to know that they, y'all relate. That like affects me. Like, I want guys to be accountable and girls to be accountable and do the right thing. We're not just teaching strength conditioning, we want to teach life lessons as well.
Does that philosophy change whenever you have an athlete recovering from an injury, or are you a little bit more tougher on them?
Well, we try to, obviously, if an athlete has a right limb injury, we're going to do whatever we can with their right leg, their left leg, and their left arm. And it depends on the injury. Obviously, for those athletes, rehab is more important. We're trying to make sure that we get them back on the field. Our goal is not to injure them worse. But we have a good relationship with like the physical therapy people that come, and they send us emails and they just keep us in a loop with things. You could do this, but you can't do that. So in our mind, we still try to train them. They won't do the same program as the rest of the athletes, but we have the same expectations.
It sounds like a really good team there with everything. How does this affect athletes who have kind of reached a training plateau?
Well, I think plateaus happen, but I think you could build off plateaus. And sometimes, certain athletes may not be good at certain movements, but they're better. I always say you want to train your weaknesses. So in order to keep climbing the mountain, I always say that with the guys, keep climbing the mountain, keep climbing the mountain. You got to train your weaknesses, not just, if you like bench, that's great, but your weakness is squat. We need to work more on our squat technique and focus more on our technique and getting better at that.
Does the nutrition in the diet, does that help as well? Are you on top of your guys with that and girls?
I give them basic advice. We give them packets, nutritional information. We're obviously not certified nutritionists, but being both my wife and I are CSCS certified, you do have to have some background in nutrition. So we give basic advice, what you should and what you shouldn't eat. And we'll give them packets that say, and sometimes we'll do a presentation at the beginning of the semester. And but again, we're strength and conditioning coaches, so it's not our expertise, but we do try to give basic advice.
Enough to help them.
Exactly.
Are Are there any common mistakes that you see, maybe freshmen who come in or any transfers?
I think nutrition, I think kids think they're eating enough and they don't. A lot of times, our baseball team's a good example. They have really long practices and they end up sitting around and they come in the weight and it's 5-6 hours before they eat. And I just tell them, as fast as y'all's metabolism are and as many calories as the body burns, you've got to intake so many more calories. So I just try to reiterate, don't just eat breakfast and lunch. Get a sandwich from the cafeteria. You could go in there anytime. Try to eat every 2.5 to 3 hours. And that's got to be a priority because, nutrition's a huge aspect of putting on muscle and developing the body. And if we don't take that seriously, we're not going to get the most out of our training.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming in today.
Absolutely.
Once again, I am Ansley Brock, and this is Coach Bernardi. This is Crusader Chat. Thank you so much for coming and watching.